Amandla, as agreed, I'm back. It's now 20 minutes past 3, and 2 hours from now, the nominations will be closed. So they are opened now, 15:20. At 17:20, nominations will be closed. Regional secretaries, right at the table where accreditation was being done this morning. You'll find me there to get you the nomination forms. You have 2 hours to have them filled, and as indicated on the form, leadership requirements, are you in good standing? Have you served one full term as an ROB or served as a PWC? Do you accept the above nomination? And then you do the signature or proxy letter signed and confirmed by the candidate themselves as alluded to. The rest is what has been explained to you. Nominations are open. They will be closed at 17:20. Thank you very much.
No, don't be cowards. Clap hands for the president. He has gave us a marching orders that at 7:20 we are closing. No late coming will be tolerated. We will close indeed. Let's allow Comrade Louisa to come and do the introduction of the guests that came early.
Thank you so much, Deputy Chairperson. Amandla, comrades, let us acknowledge the presence of one of our NWC member, our Deputy General Secretary, Comrade Nkosana Dolopi. Comrade Nkosana. Thank you so much, DGS. From SADTU, comrades, we've got our provincial chairperson, Comrade Amos Munyela. Arona. He's not alone. He's with the deputy chairperson of SADTU, Comrade Mukhumutsi Seleke. Comrade Mukhumutsi. Thank you, chairperson.
Matla, Matimba, Manda. Let's cut claim over South African, South African languages. We must learn all these languages as God. Comrades, let me just make this appeal that we need to gallop. We have taken much time in the earlier session, and according to our plan in the program, we need to take the Secretariat report today. We cannot actually leave here without taking that particular report. It's very key. We still have got the keynote address by the General Secretary, and we still have all the alliance partners to speak to this particular conference to provide at least some kind of substance for you to actually engage when you go into commissions. So without much ado, comrades, we were expecting the ANC. I don't think the ANC is here. I have not seen the comrades. We're expecting the comrade chairperson, Panyaza Al-Sufi, to be here. We will now take SADTU. Comrade Amos, or let me not deploy. The Federation will deploy. It knows who is supposed to speak. I'll just call COSATU. COSATU will come to the podium to come and speak to the workers. Comrades, Louisa, it's for you to send me a deployee of COSATU to come and speak. Angifuni ukuyingena. Welcome, comrades.
Hembe abulalu ngacha, hembe abulalu, hembe abulalu ngacha, hembe mandla, mandla, matla, yarona, matimba, yaina, manda. Ashu, all power, aluta, aluta, viva COSATU, viva, viva COSATU, viva, viva SACP, viva, viva ANC, viva, viva SADTU Yaruna, viva. Thank you very much, Comrade Chairperson. I know I'm vocally wounded. There's a revolutionary slogan that I love. And King of Scotland, if he was here, he was going to run with it. But Chair, so with the limited time, I hear you said you don't have enough time. When I saw the program, I knew that I've got 15 minutes. Oh, it's an hour, okay. So I knew that I had an hour. I don't intend to speak for an hour. Let me start by greeting the leadership of SADTU in the province, the PEC led by Comrade Edikegana and the POB's collective. The alliance partners in absentia. I'm told that the co-convener of the ANC was supposed to be here, Comrade Panyaza Lesufi. The national office bearers of SADTU, led by the president, together with the NOB's collective present here, fraternal organizations present here today, Congress delegates. Please receive revolutionary greetings from the Federation and her affiliates, as well as the Provincial Office Bearers Collective led by myself. And Chair, my input will be an input that is anchored around a number of issues, because we are addressing you today when our alliance is facing difficulties, workers are facing difficulties and their wages are continuing to be lower. The working class in general is suffering and confronted by the rising cost of living. COSATU's message of support to this Congress is anchored around the following: the unity of COSATU, the unity of the alliance, the role of trade unions in the context of service delivery, the relationship of progressive trade unions and the democratic developmental state, COSATU working together with the provincial government, as well as the socio-economic issues affecting our people in this province. Starting with the unity of COSATU, our unity is anchored around its constitution. And in our constitution, our theme, or under the preamble reads thus: we, the trade union representative, here present firmly commit ourselves to a unified democratic South Africa free of oppression and economic exploitation. We believe that this could only be achieved under the leadership of a unified working class. Our message is quite simple, comrades. Our unity as SADTU is sacrosanct. Without this unity, SADTU will die. I've observed today, Comrade President and General Secretary, that the unity of workers propelled GEMS to reduce the 9.5% or 9.2% to 7.5%. That cannot be achieved when we are not united. Our unity is quite important. Our unity is not a matter or a subject for discussion. It is a constitutional matter. It is written on a stone and cannot be changed by anyone unless we go to Congress and say, we no longer subscribe to unity. That's why I'm saying our unity is written on a stone because it is a constitutionalized matter. Our unity our unity for all of these years has been consistent, and today we can reap the rewards of the unity of the Federation. As SADTU is addressing one of the biggest public sector union in our country, SADTU, it is befitting to request that the unity of SADTU, public sector unions, is paramount. If not, we stand to lose more. If in the public service, comrades, in the JMC, you are not united as SADTU affiliates, we stand to lose more. Our unity in the public service and in the bargaining sectors is quite important for this Federation of Elijah Bahai. And I think, comrades, we call this Congress, taking into consideration what is happening in our country, in our province, that our unity is important, and this Congress must discuss our unity and ensure that we are firm in as far as defending the unity of this Federation. The Federation might be having some difficulties, but then with the unity, the Federation will live for another 40 years. You might have seen when we're celebrating 40 years, our unity was tested. The stadium was empty. The stadium was empty. The stadium was empty because we are not mobilizing. The stadium is empty because we are not agreeing on simple questions of politics. And those questions are making us to repel from each other and repel from the Federation. We call all of us, comrade, that if we are not going to guard this Federation, we will lose more. But comrades, we must also come to the unity of the alliance. Because over the past 30 years plus, and even beyond, our alliance has been anchored, or the unity of the alliance has been anchored around what O.R. Tambo said, and I quote, "Our alliance is a living organism from struggle, essentially for uniting diverse forces to destroy apartheid and build an unracial South Africa." He emphasized an alliance of strength based on commitment to liberation rather than the skin color, urging unity between the ANC, trade unions, democratic forces, as well as communists. Indeed, comrade, if we are not united, if the alliance is not united, we may kiss the National Democratic Revolution goodbye. I remember one day at the Central Executive Committee when we were discussing politics, Comrade Dolopi raised and asked a question: have we completely achieved the aspirations of the National Democratic Revolution? Well, silence means consent. We have not. So therefore, if we have not achieved the aspiration of the National Democratic Revolution, driven by the alliance, so therefore it means that we need the alliance more than ever before. So our disunity must be discussed, because where we are, the alliance find it difficult because of a number of questions. The questions of those who deployed in government, who have allowed themselves to be swallowed by corruption in the state. Stealing from the poor, and I'm not saying an organization, I'm not saying the ANC, I'm saying our deployees. There are a number of deployees that we've deployed in government, and these deployees have stolen from the poor. They've stolen from us. Must we be divided by the elections? Because election is an event. Election is an event. We are going to an election today. We are discussing contestation of power or elections by two alliance partners. It is a crisis. It is a crisis. We do understand the reasons that are advanced. We do understand that those who are deployed in government, some of them have messed up. However, comrades, we've got two ways. We need to choose as to whether we are of the revolution, and that revolution is the National Democratic Revolution led by the ANC-led alliance, or we choose that we destroy the alliance and suffer the consequences. Because we will definitely suffer the consequences if we choose to destroy the alliance. So it's quite important that this Congress deliberate on these questions, because I know that we're still also going to a national Congress. Now, when we get to the national Congress, there should be resolutions that at least are going to save our National Democratic Revolution, because our revolution is at a crossroad, and it is not because by any other person outside the alliance, it is us within the alliance. And even workers are included in this. We are not immune to the problems that our country is facing. We are not immune to the problems that our province is facing today. We ourselves are also members of these organizations at our townships, within communities. We are members of the ANC, we are members of the SACP, we are members of SANCO, and we are members of COSATU. If the revolution collapses, it will collapse because of us, not any other person. There can be international forces. However, the biggest who are demonizing our revolution, it will be us. But what is to be done? Because we don't think that there's nothing to be done. There's everything to be done. And this can only be done by workers, comrades. Only workers, united workers, can save the National Democratic Revolution and can save this country from the Democratic Alliance and the liberal forces in this country. The first thing is our unity in the alliance. The second thing is stop corruption in government and state-owned entities. Build an economy that creates jobs. Build a patriotic cadre of the public service. Comrades, we organize in the public sector. The question that we must ask ourselves, are we patriotic cadres of the public service? Because, comrades, despite the fact that there's a party that is leading government, and there's a party that takes policies developed at party level and go with those policies at elections and win an election, public servant must therefore support those policies. And I'm going to speak deeper on this because this is an important question for the Federation. and for the defense of the National Democratic Revolution. Because, comrades, I can tell you, even when the South African Communist Party is going to win an election, it is going to be subjected to the same machinery in the state. And that machinery in the state, it is us. We must discuss, Comrade DGS, the economy of this country is sleeping at 8. You cannot have a country that runs an economy that is sleeping in the 21st century. The only economy that is operational beyond or 24 hours is where we enjoy ourselves. At taverns, and that's where the economy does not sleep. Our economy is sleeping. The public service is sleeping. Only the police and nurses are awake. I'm not too sure as to whether teachers are working 24 hours. I'm not too sure. So our economy is sleeping, comrades. There is no economic activity, better economic activity beyond 8 p.m. And these are the things that we need to discuss, comrades. Some of our clinics are sleeping. They are sleeping. Some of our clinics are sleeping, are not 24 hours, and our people continuously get sick. So we have to discuss this thing. It's an important question. We know, comrades, that we fought for an 8-hour shift. But then can we have an economy in this epoch and in this period, a sleeping economy? We must build strong organizations at community level. Comrades, our organizations are very weak, Comrade President and Comrade Chair. The ANC is weak. SANCO is weak. The SACP is weak. Now, comrades, if we've got these weak organizations, it makes it very difficult for you to win an election. And I'll tell you why, comrades. See, comrades, winning an election does not want millions and trillions of rands. It requires an organized organization rooted in communities, organization that can fight the battles of communities, an organization that can run a local economy, an organization that can protect its people, an organization that can fight gender-based violence. It requires that kind of an organization. It requires a SANCO that understands its responsibilities in the community. It requires the ANC that understands its responsibilities in a community. There is no need, comrades, for poverty when we've got this organization. There is an economy in communities. Unfortunately, Comrade Dolopi, that economy, the money that it makes, it moves to Pakistan. It goes to Somalia. It goes everywhere else except to benefit our people. And our organizations are within communities. We cry service delivery. Our infrastructure is compressed. Go to our townships. A township that was built to accommodate 500 families, it is now accommodating more than 500 families. The infrastructure, the sewer infrastructure is incapable of carrying it. The electricity, it is incapable of carrying it. The road infrastructure, it is incapable of carrying it. Yet there is an economy, yet there are organizations in those communities. We need to think better, think differently, and make this thing faster. Because if we're not doing so, we, the organized, must get into communities, work with these organizations in order for us to build an economy that can feed itself, a township that can feed itself, a township that can be able to have unemployment. We believe it can. I believe it can. And it will require cadres Not cadre by a definition of mona motu, or cadre, a person who does not even love their people. So we need a cadre in the definition of Che Guevara. So that cadre will understand that when I'm elected into the branch of the ANC, my responsibility is to make sure that the community that I'm serving is prosperous. There's no way, comrades, we can be able to see those people who are marching all over the country without a plan. So we are chasing foreign nationals without a plan. We must have a plan of how are we saving our communities without being xenophobic. So we don't have to be populist to address these questions. But the next question that I want to speak about is the role of a trade union in the context of service delivery. I've touched into this question. This question is an important question for me. We can talk politics, we can talk anything that we want, comrades. And I want to focus on progressive public service or public sector unions. SADTU, NEHAU, Tinosa, Pope Crew, Samatu. The last one is this one, EMS, I forgot the name. Sahib and Pausa. Comrades, these public sector unions are the core of service delivery in different sectors of government. In education, we have you as teachers. In hospitals, we have got the NOSA and NEHAU. We also have Samatu, Salepu. We've got Pope Crew in policing. So we are all over the public service. Now this debate, Comrade President and the National Office Bearers as well as Congress, it's a debate that we are afraid to confront. And it's a debate that must happen and a debate that must take place. See, comrades, if we are not going to have this debate, we can go to these elections, win an elections, and talk about the same thing post the elections, go into the next election and election after elections. I made a point that when we deliver a manifesto, that manifesto is delivered by a political party, and in this case, it's the political party, the leading political party in the government of national unity, which is the ANC and other parties. That must be delivered by us in education. That must be delivered us in all the sectors, comrades. But when we discuss this thing, we must also discuss it vis-a-vis the labor relations space in our country, as well as collective bargaining issues where we are. I always say this thing, Comrade Dolob, and if we're not going to discuss this thing, if we're not going to discuss better the salary package of a teacher, a salary package of a policeman, a salary package of a nurse, without this 4% salary increase, we would have done injustice to these professions. We have done injustice to these professions. These professions are the lowest paid in the public service. You can get also the social. That's why, comrades, we are not even saying we must do wrong things. But truth be told, there's no way in which a take-home salary of a teacher can be 19,000 in this era. It can never be. There's no way in which a salary of a policeman take-home can be 16,000. There's no way, comrades. There is no way. There's no way, comrades. We must do something better in order to make sure that these professions are quite important for the economy and the public service. There's no way in which a salary of a nurse can be what it is today. It can't be. We can never depend on the wage increase without correcting the salary structure of these professions. These professions are quite important for this country. But comrades, all of this, when we talk about a cadre, a patriotic cadre of a public service, we talk about somebody who said, I'm going to be exploited in the public service to serve my own people. We are serving our own people. Comrades. Yo. Rasinya, comrades. Rasinya, more comrades. Rasinya, and these are the things that we must talk about. I want to tell you a story as I speak about this thing. It's a painful story. You see, comrades, when we go to a township, how you go township? Uthola usina electricity ko area eng. When there is no electricity in that area, bawulela or no transformer ibomile. There is no transformer. The transformer is bombed. What happens there, comrades? Somebody comes from ESCOM. That particular person might be a member of a particular union. They agree with that person. Having agreed with that person, they go and steal a transformer in another community and bring it here for lights. That other community suffers when a worker has stolen for more cash in their pockets. It's a painful story. The next painful story is a painful story of a policeman who will sell a docket of a person who has raped more than once and sell a docket to also make sure that their pockets are full. A story of a teacher who will go and abuse learners and go scot-free when they are not caught. A story of a teacher who might not be in class at the time they are supposed to be in class and who leave at the time they are not supposed to be leaving. A story of a nurse who will steal medicine. A story of a municipal worker. When he's supposed to come and fix your electricity, they come and say, by the way, you are owing. In order for us to be able to help you, can you be able at least give me 1,000 rand, I'll be able to fix. A story of a porter, when you go to a hospital, when a patient arrives, that porter doesn't care. And all of us, comrades, all of those that I've mentioned are saving our people. The person who suffers is our people, the working class and the poor. We need to discuss this thing. That's why we need a cadre, patriotic cadre of the public service. We need that, comrades. Because otherwise, comrades, if not, Comrade GS, Comrade President, will kiss the National Democratic Revolution goodbye. Will kiss government goodbye. As I continue, comrades, SADTU, GPG working together with SADTU Provincial Government. We took this decision at the PEC sometimes last year, that in order for us to deliver services and monitor we took part in the content of the State of the Province address by the Premier that resulted into the G13 or 13 Gauteng problems. And those problems is water, cable, non-functional traffic lights, potholes, crime and lawlessness, mushrooming of informal settlement, electricity shortage, gender-based violence and femicide, drug abuse, service at hospitals and clinics, lack of schools, failing infrastructure in CBD, and unemployment. Now, comrades, the G problems of Gauteng must be delivered by us. The G13 problems are speaking to the issues that will benefit the working class and the poor, and are directly speaking to what is to be done within our communities. We agreed, comrades, that we'll meet with each and every MEC, because we've already met with the Premier, presented our plan and program. We've agreed, comrades, that we are going to meet with all the MECs in order for them to present what we call their annual performance plan, so that we are able to monitor the implementation of projects. When those projects are not implemented, we must hold them to account. There must be accountability. What does it mean to SADTU? It means that we'll meet people and we make them to account. When they are not delivering on what they promise the people, they must resign. All of them, we need to talk to them. We should be able to do this. We will, comrades, working together with ourselves, monitor progress and program in government. As I conclude, comrades, we want to thank all members of SADTU who came to the May Day rally. Our May Day rally was a success. If we're not there, the May Day rally was not going to be a success. Thank you very much, comrades, for coming. We think moving from there, we will be able to mobilize better and make sure that to workers, we attend them en masse. We want to wish this Congress a success, free of leadership election, but deep into the debate on the program that SADTU is going to be implementing over the coming years of the term of office of the newly elected office bearers. Amandla! Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Chair. Thank you. We are sorry about this.
Thanks, Chair. Thank you. President. Comrades, sorry, comrades. Can the electoral office come? There's an emergency that needs to be attended before we proceed with our program.
Amandla, for the smooth running of this conference, comrades, we can't afford what is happening in front here. On our bended knees, is it possible that branches could perhaps be generous enough, give back the forms to the regional secretaries, and the regional secretaries will bring those forms here one after the other. The conference is not disturbed. Otherwise, we're disrupting ourselves. And I heard a wonderful song here. I'll say it later. So please, thanks. Are we in agreement, comrades, that we're not going to have people here? Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, comrades. Thank you, comrades. We still have 2 more days. We are going to sing our hearts out. Don't worry, I'm going to grant you that opportunity to sing. But for now, comrades, in trying to manage time, we need to actually be focused on the program of the organization. We are about to take the keynote address, and I'd request that we actually stop all these particular movements except those that are dealing with this, and then we actually listen to the General Secretary of our organization, who is also the President of the Education International. Maybe Lilibet, comrades. Okay. He is also the President of this world in terms of teacher affairs in the world. So we desperately want to listen to that particular input so that it can inform us as we move on forward. No, Paula, I don't know, you need to do the honors of ushering and introducing the General Secretary to the podium. And I think now, distracta mo mosebetsing wa rona.
But if we agree, regional secretary.
The President has given a direction. I'm not so sure because it says it also encroaches on that particular time that you agreed upon. And I don't know how can we manage this. We are in a conference here. My leader, can you assist because this is also distracting the proceedings of conference. Shaya nge-shop steward lapha.
Program itself and the flexibility we spoke about. I was checking that is it deliberate that chair is calling the general secretary before the party because I thought we had adopted that program and we saw the party is here so that we are not confused, Chair. We follow the program as adopted. That's the clarity we're seeking, Chair. Thanks.
No, comrade, I don't think we are deliberately, at the time, we were not actually aware that the party has actually joined the meeting. And we were actually operating. Yes, the flexibility we'll use when a structure comes to us and requests to actually speak, we'll consult, and then we'll allow the one that is actually maybe we'll apply that flexibility. There was never any intention to sideline anyone here. Yeah. So, my calling the General Secretary to give the keynote address does not mean that somebody is being undermined. I was not aware that the Communist Party is here. I was not aware. I was looking for the Communist Party even in the morning. I'm sorry, comrades. No, Paula? Where?
He has asked, we are clear about the agents coming in as agents.
Yeah. So, keep it part. Okay.
Hello, Chris.
Can the comrade come and introduce the comrade? Okay, comrades. Ayikho i-agenda yamakapitali ku-SADTU. Azange seniyibone kulonhlangano i-agenda yamakapitali. Ake nithuleni comrades siqhubekeni ngohlelo comrades. Hlalani phansi, ayikho i-agenda yamakapitali. Siyawazi amakapitali and siyabazi ukuthi abobani. Soze sidistractwe ku-agenda yethu ngoba azange ize ibe yamakapitali. And angeke phinde ibe yamakapitali. Comrades, let's move on with our program. I know that we are still handling a very delicate process, and I think all of us, we agree that all these programs must actually go on without distracting the main program of the organization. So I was just about to call the General Secretary to the podium before I was alerted to the presence of the party. And I even indicated that we'll use that flexibility. I have not seen is the chairperson of the party that is here. Who's here of the party? Just because these are our leaders, comrades. We are not going to have a competition here. So if I have called the General Secretary and the comrade of the party is here, And it's also part of this particular process. I'll call him after that. Let me allow the General Secretary, because I've already called the General Secretary. Is it a problem? It's not for you, it's for the party too. Comrade party, okay, comrades. Comrades, I indicated that flexibility is there. And as long as you understand that when we talk of flexibility, it does not mean that we are going to slavishly follow the program. Hence, I explained to the question, I responded to the question. I don't want us to belabor on just procedural, minor procedural issues like this. It does not make anything. GS, can I request you to, comrade, can we get education convener to introduce the leader of the party that has joined the meeting so that now he can also take the podium?
Thank you, Chairperson of the province. Comrades, let us acknowledge the presence of SACP led by Comrade Mandla Hadebe as the Chairperson. Comrade, greet the comrades. Is it Mandla? Amanda, the second Deputy Provincial Secretary. Amanda, comrades. Chairperson. Okay. He's also with the second Deputy Provincial Secretary, Comrade Pamela Malihu. Aruna. Comrades, in our midst, we also have our sister provinces who've just arrived from KZN. We've got Comrade Zoto Azwani, who's new from the box. She's the Provincial Deputy Chairperson of KZN. Thank you so much. We also, she's not flying alone. She's with the Provincial SAC, Comrade Magwaza. Comrade Magwaza. Thank you so much.
Thank you, comrades. Welcome. Can we invite the party to come to the podium and speak to the conference? Can we raise the party deployee who is going to speak? Ngengoma. No, as I'm supporting, and the still check. I'm done. It's fast.
Amandla. Amandla. Sambali kusatu. Amandla. Awethu. Forward to socialism, forward. Forward to socialism, forward. Viva SADTU, viva. Viva SADTU, 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 viva. Viva SADTU, viva. Viva SACP, viva. Viva ANC, viva. Forward to socialism, forward. Mandla. Comrades, thank you very much for a very wonderful welcome to the South African Communist Party in Gauteng province. Program Director, I know that there has been protocol that has been observed when you opened this very important gathering. So allow me on behalf of the 13th Congress Provincial Executive Committee to rise on that protocol. But of course it will be remiss of me, Comrade Chair, not to acknowledge the General Secretary of SADTU, Comrade Dr. Maluleke. I also greet you in your capacity as a member of the Central Committee of the South African Communist Party. Chair, also allow me to isolate the provincial chairperson of SADTU, Comrade Amos Munyela. I got here when I was speaking. Comrade Amos is also a member of the Provincial Executive Committee of the South African Communist Party. So part of the message he was giving here, Comrade Chair, he was also representing the party. So we second that message, even though, Comrade Chair, I only heard the last part. Comrade Chair, we heard the last part because the invite that we received, because we are disciplined force of the left. The invite said we must be here at 5:20, and that's why we are speaking. So I suppose, Comrade, it was a misunderstanding. We were not late because we disrespect this august gathering. It was a misunderstanding on our part. But also, Comrade Chair, we were told that we have 1 hour, 30 minutes to address Congress. So we prepared a 1 hour, 30 minutes speech, Comrade Chair. But of course, we understand that the Congress has got flexible rules. We are also bound by those flexible rules, comrades, and will be as brief as possible. Comrades, on behalf of the 13th Congress Provincial Executive Committee of the South African Communist Party here in Gauteng province, I bring with me fraternal and revolutionary greetings to everyone who's here, in particular the delegates of SADTU Gauteng province. Allow me, comrades, to extend our warmest and congratulations to yourself, SADTU, for successfully holding this important gathering. Because it is our understanding, comrades, that this is indeed a clear
demonstration of your commitment to the processes of democracy and democratic centralism, but most importantly, on the importance of a worker-led approach in shaping the path forward of our revolution. Congress, comrades, is not just a constitutional obligation, but it is a critical platform for workers to assess the balance of forces, to analyze socio-political developments, and most importantly, chart a way forward on the revolution as it's facing the working class. And fundamentally, the national democratic revolution, it is in our view, comrades, that it is at a crossroad, and therefore this Congress could not have come at a very important time, for you to deal with those issues. But I must say that, comrades, as the South African Communist Party, we regard this invitation to address yourself as both an honor and a profound political responsibility, because we are addressing you at a critical moment of our national life, but most importantly of our broader global struggle that is facing the workers and the working class in particular. We gather here, comrades, in the immediate aftermath of the 2026 May Day celebrations that Comrade Amos was talking about. I think that it is important, comrades, on behalf of the SACP, that we must begin by congratulating SADTU in our province for organizing a very revolutionary and successful rally here in Ekurhuleni. We are of the view, comrades, that this gathering was not merely a symbolic, but it was a reaffirmation of the enduring power of worker organization and collective action. Let me once more, comrades, reiterate some of the messages that we as a Communist Party we delivered in that Congress, because we have the view that this message on the International Workers' Day, the SACP correctly saw in saluting the struggles of the workers and the working class as the correct producers of all wealth, as the creators of all value, and most importantly, as the overwhelming majority of humanity whose labor sustains society, but yet they remain systematically excluded and dispossessed of the fruit of their labor. This was the central essence of the SACP's message in May Day. And this message was important for us because in remembering the uprising of the Chicago 1886, where the demand of an 8-hour working day became a rallying cry against the capitalist exploitation, the essence, therefore, of this day, which is celebrated throughout the world, must be remembered that the struggle, the bloodshed that accompanied it, teaches us a very important lesson that rights are never given, and those who benefit from exploitation will never give up those rights freely. Rights, importantly, as far as we're concerned, are won in the struggle through organization, through unity, but most importantly, through a militant collective action as demonstrated by yourself in convening this Congress. This lesson, comrades, is very important in our view and in our contemporary political developments here in this country, because it reminds us that beyond the theater of the struggle, even in the classroom, it must remain alive. It must remain alive in our communities. It must remain alive in this Congress. We say so, comrades, because we believe that education in particular, and you know better than myself the importance of education. But it is our considered view, comrades, that education is not a neutral space. It has never been neutral. It is a central terrain in the battle of ideas. Education has been used previously and continues to be used to empower the working class and the popular strata in our context. But most importantly, it can equally be used, and often it has been used, to reproduce ideology of domination, ideology that reproduces inequality and exploitation. We therefore are of the view that in celebrating these developments of the advancements that are made by the working class, we must always remember this important aspect. In the present juncture, Comrade Chair, education has increasingly been shaped by the neoliberal ideology, most importantly in our context. An ideology that promotes competition over cooperation. That's the essence of neoliberalism. Ideology that advances and promotes individualism over solidarity, that promotes people or profit over people. It teaches our learners, sometimes subtle, sometimes overtly, that success is individual, that failure is personal, and that inequality is natural. In fact, comrades, I'm reminded of the words that one famous ANC and SACP revolutionary Mzala Nxumalo once argued in 1985 when he spoke about the role of revolutionaries that should play in the education. He argued, I quote, "Our education policy," he was speaking about the free South Africa then, "and that of free South Africa equally is not aimed at certifying the distorted childhood desires of those who seek the good life, irrespective of the condition of the oppressed people and the exploited classes," close quote. This is the essence of what neoliberalism is promoting in our context. The form of neoliberal ideology in our education, it is our considered view that this Congress must take a view in rejecting neoliberalism in all its facets and in all its manifestation. The fundamental question, therefore, before us and before this Congress is that does our education system reproduce inequality or does it transform our society? It is in this context, in our views as a South African Communist Party, we welcome the release of the draft history curriculum for grade 4 to grade 12. Because we believe that this is timely and it is indeed a necessary intervention. Because we believe it represents the most important step towards strengthening our education system and deepening its transformative potential. Because it remains that a potential that is yet to be realized. We are of the view, comrades, that the proposed curriculum offers an opportunity to center the African perspective, to restore our historical balance, to challenge the long-standing dominance of colonial and Eurocentric narratives. We believe that this proposed curriculum is aligned with a long-standing position that history must become compulsory in our schools, not just as a technical addition, but as a political necessity. Because we still believe that education is not neutral, it has never been neutral. One of the view, comrades, that history was taught when taught correctly, does not merely recount events, but it builds identity, it fosters empathy, it develops critical thinking, it enables learners to locate themselves within the broader society, within the broader social forces, within the broader political forces, but most importantly, within the broader economic struggles that we are all faced with today. Because for far too long, comrades, you will agree with me that in our context, history has marginalized African experiences. It has silenced the voices of the oppressed.
The current reforms must therefore be decisively correct this imbalance that has been created over the past. These reforms, in our view, must affirm that the African perspective is not an addition, but it is foundational of our education. The transformation of the curriculum must therefore be understood within this broader project, the transformation of the education system itself. In this regard, comrades, we believe that teachers, or let me say educators, occupy a very central and strategic position in society. Because as educators, you are not just transmitters of knowledge, but most fundamentally, you are, in the deepest sense, if you understand it, intellectuals of the working class. You know, all of us where we come from, in all the communities we come from, when we were growing up, the only recognized intellectuals in our communities were educators. Because they are intellectuals, because they shape consciousness, they influence learners, or how learners understand and see the world. They determine whether education becomes a tool of liberation or a mechanism of the continuous control and exploitation by the capitalist class. Therefore, to be the educator, in our view, comrades, is not just a neutral process, but is to occupy a political position. You cannot be an educator and be class neutral. You cannot be an educator and be ideologically neutral. Because this is a very important profession, very important in our society. We therefore call upon all the teachers, all the educators, and all the activists to recognize that the classroom is indeed a site of struggle. It is a space where dominant ideologies must be challenged. It is a site where inequality must be exposed and where alternative futures must be imagined. There's no other important site as the classroom. We therefore believe, comrades, that your task, therefore, to cultivate critical consciousness has never been important when we think about the challenges that are facing our society today. You have the responsibility to help learners to understand not only what the world is, but in what way it is and how it can be changed. And this requires, in our view, Chair, a deliberate effort to transform the curriculum, to put at the center of the curriculum African knowledge, dominance of the market-driven and Eurocentric perspective. We think this is important because it requires education to be linked to the broader objectives of our social transformation, including a socialist-orientated national democratic revolution, whose goal is to include social justice, economic transformation, and fundamentally democratic participation. This, Comrade Chair, is the essence of our message. If you want me to continue and talk about the party resolution, I may disappoint you, comrades. Because we have the view, comrades, that at the center of this Congress is for this Congress to come up with strategies to decisively agree on how you are going to confront the ideology of hyper-individualism, the notion that society is a competition where only the strongest survive. In its place, we have the view that we must promote solidarity, collective advancement, and social responsibility. We think that this Congress can do a lot of work if it interrogates this program at a deeper level in understanding how can we integrate theory and practice in ensuring that education is not just an abstract process, but it is a process that is connected to the lived realities of our communities and the struggle of our people. We believe that this should be the praxis of an educator in this day and age. And for this to happen, we have the view, comrades, that it requires education that goes beyond the narrow confines of skills development. Skills development, as important as it is, yes, we agree that technical and vocational skills are necessary. In the higher education sector, there's a big talk about the STEM programs. We believe they are also important, but they are not sufficient. Because education must also develop critical thinking, political awareness, and transformation or transformative agency on those who are receiving education equally to those who are dispensing education. So therefore, comrades, we believe that educators cannot operate in isolation. A good SADTU member must be a member of the Communist Party. Because you can't operate in isolation if you understand your role, that you are not a class-neutral professional. You are part of a broader movement, a movement that includes trade unions, a movement that includes community organizations, progressive formations that are committed to social justice. And the Communist Party is at the center of that struggle. We believe that the struggle of education and its transformation is indeed inseparable from the struggle of a more equal society. This is why we argue, comrades, that we must defend public education at all costs as a public good. We must resist the commodification of education that we see daily, that is growing in these days. The privatization of our education, the austerity measures that undermine the equality and the equal access of our education. We believe this is something that must be at the center of this Congress to analyze and come up with clear way forward. We must insist, Comrade Chair, that education, if it does not serve the people, what is the point of that education? Because we believe that education should not be designed to serve the market interest. It must be designed as a process and as a program that it serves the people and advances the struggles of the people. Comrade Chair, I'm going to skip all the middle part of my 1 hour speech and go towards the end, before comrades fall asleep. But I want to touch just on a few critical aspects on the international and also on our national class balance of forces, because we think it is important for this Congress to deliberate and deal with those issues. Because it is our view, comrades, as the South African Communist Party, that our struggle is not confined within the national borders. That is why when we discuss all the matters that are manifesting currently in our society, including the rise of ethno-national politics, this Congress must be able to locate them within the national boundaries and beyond. Because it is part, or our role as a working class, we are part of a global struggle against a system that continues to generate global inequality, global conflict, and global dominance. As Lenin argues somewhere, I can't remember, but Lenin argues, and he writes a very interesting book, where he argues that imperialism is the highest stage of capitalism. And what did he mean about this, and how do we see this manifesting? We see this manifesting in the current global capitalist system through the intensification of inequality, but most importantly, the militarization of the global geopolitics. The sanctions, the wars, the aggressions that are aimed at securing economic domination and geopolitical control are there because they are seeking to prioritize profit and destruction of human development. We think that this Congress must be able to locate itself in these developments, because if you cannot understand what is happening in the Hormuz Strait, you may not be able to resolve the contradictions or the implications of those contradictions as they manifest in our current society. It is therefore important, comrades, that this Congress, as a first weapon of self-defense, solidarity must be at the center of it. Because if we cannot defend our own national sovereignty against imperial coercion, it means everyone is not safe. That is why the struggles of the people of Cuba is not the struggle of the people of Cuba. That is why the struggle of the people of Venezuela, the struggle of the people of Gaza and the people of Palestine is not their own individual struggle. It is our own form of self-defense, because one day, actually we should know better as a country, because we were once visited by these challenges. So we believe, Comrade Chair, that proletarian internationalism and anti-imperialist solidarity is therefore important, and this Congress must put that matter at the heart of your debates. But we believe that this Congress must also, Comrade Chair, discuss the question of the economic situation in our country. South Africa is faced with not just chronic, endemic, but structural unemployment. And you cannot understand this structural unemployment outside of understanding the features of capitalism. Mass unemployment in South Africa is not a cyclical, but it is a systemic issue that is rooted in our economy that continues to produce profit rather than social needs. We therefore think it is important that this Congress must grapple with this question and put this matter at the center of this Congress. In particular, we believe, Comrade Chair, that the intersection of class, gender, and race exploitation has never been important in our context in South Africa than it is now, to understand how the capitalist accumulation and how the capitalist accumulation produces layers of exploitation. Women are concentrated in precarious labor while bearing the unpaid productive work. While on the other hand, the African workers remain disproportionately affected by this problem of what the party calls a crisis of social reproduction. We think this Congress must put this at the center, because if you do that, you will then be able to deal with the question of inequality and class exploitation in our context, in particular in Gauteng province, because this is the only province in the African continent where poverty and opulence live side by side, where there is the sharpest exploitation of the workers and the working class. And therefore, there is no better Congress that should be able to deal with these things. Second last point, Comrade Chair, before I sit down. We think that this Congress must discuss the National Democratic Revolution and the future of the National Democratic Revolution, because the current contradictions that are happening within our alliance, which will be my last point, are a manifestation of the challenge of the National Democratic Revolution. The NDR, and as a party understand it as a 1928 program that formulates or helps the party to formulate the Native Republic thesis, or what was later called the Black Republic thesis, is at the center of the contradictions that we are facing today. As SACP, we are of the firm view, comrades, that the NDR remains the strategic path towards socialism. So if you talk about building socialism in South Africa, we believe that it will be unscientific if you think you can build socialism outside of the National Democratic Revolution. The NDR remains the only direct route to socialism. And therefore, in this regard, we believe that Congress must debate and discuss the strategic perspective as it pertains to the National Democratic Revolution. But in discussing that, Comrade Chair, we believe that you cannot shy away from the challenges that are facing the NDR in the current conjuncture. Because the NDR is facing stagnation, it is facing internal weaknesses, but also it is facing external opposition. This includes infiltration of our organizations by non-revolutionaries, but sometimes by counter-revolutionaries. And we believe that if this is not attended to, and I think the unions are most at the risks of this infiltration. And we therefore believe that if this matter is not attended to strategically, we run the risk of reversing the working class gains that have been attained over the past 32 years. So we believe, comrades, that it is important that we must revitalize our struggle of mass campaign, but most importantly, our struggle, responsibility of the Communist Party to strengthen COSATU, defend COSATU as a primary class ally of the South African Communist Party. We believe that is important. Lastly, Chair, let me speak on the alliance. Few points on the alliance that we think that this Congress must pay attention to. Because we don't want to influence you, comrades, and say choose this side and don't choose that side, because we understand you are revolutionaries, but also are the most advanced detachment of the working class. But we want to tell you, comrades, just to deposit 2 points on the alliance, that the SNCP remains committed to the tripartite alliance, because we view this alliance as a historical instrument of our revolutionary unity. We believe that it is the most effective and historical proven organizational vehicle for us to unite the working class and to advance the objectives of the working class. We believe that you must discuss the alliance and discuss this matter. Because as a party, we believe that the principle of dual membership remains essential for maintaining ideological unity and organizational coherence. Because what it does, it helps us to ensure that there is continuity in as far as the revolutionary project is concerned. And as such, the independent electoral participation must be understood in that context. What is the view of this Congress on the fundamental question of the alliance as it relates to the NDR? We think this Congress must discuss this matter. COSATU has got a historical position, Comrade Chair, on the reconfiguration of the alliance. And we believe that this Congress has got the responsibility, you are duty-bound, comrades, to discuss at a practical level the implementation of a reconfiguration of our alliance. How are we going to do that? Linked to that is the question of COSATU, which I've already argued and said to you, as a Communist Party in South Africa, we believe that COSATU remains a central pillar of the working class organization in South Africa. We therefore use this platform, Comrade Chair, to affirm our view that COSATU remains the primary and the most powerful federation to advance socialism, a class-oriented unionism, but most importantly, an international working class solidarity in that context. And I'm sure Comrade President will speak about this importance of the international focus and perspective of COSATU. Therefore, the relationship between the SACP and COSATU is grounded on principled unity, that is informed by proper political analysis, but most importantly, that is informed by mutual respect for both organizations, because it is out of that mutual respect that we are able to advance a common transformative agenda of the working class. Now, Chair, I'm skipping to the last page, which is page 37. I've skipped 23 pages, comrades. I'm now on the last point, which reads, in conclusion. In closing, Comrade Chair, we want to take this opportunity in wishing you a very successful Congress, a very revolutionary Congress, to urge this Congress to help us to return to the central question that we began with. That what is the role of the educator in this current moment where our revolution is facing many challenges? We think this Congress will be able to assist us, because if we can address that fundamental question, we think Congress will be better, will be closer, not only to resolving the intractable problems that we are faced with, but will help us to get closer to building socialism with the South African characteristics. It is our view, though, as we've already argued, that an educator is not neutral. An educator can never be passive. An educator is not merely a functionary within a system. We believe that teachers and educators are an agent of transformation in our society within the broad progressive forces and outside of them in communities. Because we believe that we stand at a crossroad. Our NDR is at a crossroad. It can turn left, it can turn right. But we believe that this Congress has got powers, has got knowledge, and has got the possibilities of helping us to shape a way forward, just like you do on a daily basis in shaping the future generation. Because, comrades, the struggle of transformation of the education is not just a technical exercise, just like the struggle of resolving the challenges that the NDR is faced with. Comrade Chair, let me take this opportunity to wish you a very successful Congress. And we hope that these issues that we have raised, we are going to discuss them in plenary, we are going to discuss them in commission, and we are going to discuss them at every opportune moment where you get the opportunity. I'm sorry to disappoint those who thought that I was going to speak about other issues that are dividing our movement. We should not speak about the things that divide us, but we must talk about what unites us. And the National Democratic Revolution remains the only platform that unites the working class in South Africa and beyond. We wish you a very successful Congress, comrades, and we hope that when you are done, all of you would have joined the South African Communist Party. Forward to socialism, forward. Forward to socialism, forward. Selamakumani, 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 Ahabolo Max Amakumanisi, Ahabolo Max Amakumanisi, Nese Namakumanisi, Namakumanisi, Atandisa Twamakumanisi, Atandisa Twamakumanisi. Nese Namakumanisi.
Hiyo makomane, say, hi makomane, yes. Thank you very much, comrades. Thank you very much, comrades. Thank you very much, Comrade Mandla, for the very informative input. Can we take the education convener to introduce other guests that have just joined us?
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much once more, Chairperson. Comrades, let's acknowledge the presence of SASCO, the Provincial Secretary, Fukudo Nekavambe. He's not here. Okay. From NSGB, you've got Matekani. Amanda! Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Strength. Thank you so much. We also have in our list SADTU Provincial Treasurer, Comrade Justice Nkomo. Viva. Thank you so much.
Asibonge leaders, Comrade Tax. Ekuyabona ba urata ba winela pele mnati. So thank you, comrades. Maybe let me take this opportunity to call upon the General Secretary to come and address us. Can we raise the General Secretary with a revolutionary song?
apologize. Inyamazana. Ihlala ehlathi, lehlathi, lehlathi. Amandla, amandla, awethu, awethu, matla, aruna, matimba, aina, manda, ashu, all power, all power. Comrade Chairperson of our province, Comrade Kekana, Comrade Ledimo, and the entire leadership of our province, let me acknowledge our President and all the other members of the National Working Committee who are here. Allow me to also recognize in our midst the leadership of SADTU led by Comrade Amos Munyela. Let me also recognize the leadership of the Communist Party in South Africa led by Comrade Umandla. Let me also acknowledge former leaders who are here. I know that they talk about NSGB, those who don't know you, you are problematic. Momo, Moja, Oja, all these things. So let me recognize you as a General Secretary of the NSGB, our own organization. We will talk about that, I think, in the commission, Comrade Ledimo. The splits in the NSGB. We have 3 splits in Gauteng. And we need to address that because, as Comrade Manda was saying, that we need to take this transformation of education seriously. In particular, your fight that you put up so fiercely as an organization to have the curriculum to be revised, especially now the introduction of history as a compulsory subject. It is your fight. We need to address those particular splits that are there. Now, there's a person who likes music, like I don't know, Comrade Boloshe, let me also, I know I owe you, I'll come back to you. And all other leaders. I was told at meetings here, yeah, I'm looking for a job, my bro. You see, these employers who are here, Comrade Tolopi, they must employ us. So let me also recognize the former leader. They are saying Malombo from AMMC. Yes, yeah. So do they know that you are a deputy chairperson of our province? Together with Comrade Ike, who used to sleep in the meeting, and when he sleeps, he would say that he's praying the God of sleep. Comrade Tulan, you must greet them. So all our leaders who are here, let me also recognize our partners that are here that we work with in national, but also that you are working with at the province. Let me recognize our student chapter. Very central, very instrumental, and very strategic in terms of making sure that when teachers graduate, they are members of SADTU. They will be here, and they are here, all of them from the province and the national. We also want to recognize them. It's very, very important. But as I am also respecting the established protocol, let me really be short and recognize our National Executive Committee members who are here from all the provinces and other members of the provincial working committees from all the other provinces that are here today. I didn't see Comrade Panyaza from the ANC, but let's also recognize them in absentia, and I hope that they will join us. Comrade Mandla, let me first acknowledge that we will discuss those issues that you have raised. And let me also thank you for not talking about the things that divide us and talk about what is uniting us.
And as SADTU, we fully agree. What unites all of us is our national democratic revolution. We have to make sure that it's achieved, and we have got to work together as a united force to do that. That's why our address today, or our message from the National Executive Committee, is headed Unity, Discipline, and Clean Governance, so that we are able to recognize the strength of our collective. And we are saying no to complacency. Whilst we are going to recognize the work that we have done and the work that we still have got to do, we must not be complacent. Let me, as an introduction, also indicate that, Comrade Mnyela, you are right, that together as Labour United, at the level of the PSCBC, we have been able to push GEMS to reduce the 9.5 to 7.5 by 2%. Accumulatively, basically, we have been able to move. And there are many issues that we must address around GEMS. One of the critical areas that we need to address in GEMS is the composition of the board, where the workers are not having a direct representation. Because the product of our collective bargaining is a collective agreement that is signed by ourselves and the employer. But then when we are supposed to be implementing, we are left out, and then we call the so-called experts to come and run what we have been able to cook together. And we believe that's not strategic. That is abdication. Because we have got to be there to ensure that we understand the pressures, the difficulties that our members are facing, and address those. The areas that we still have got to iron out with GEMS, the issue of outsourcing of the administration of GEMS. Under normal circumstances, when you outsource for a very short period of time, because you'll be saying that you don't have the necessary expertise and the skills to be able to do what you are supposed to do. But once you have been able to establish the skills and expertise and competencies to be able to execute that particular function, you cannot continue with outsourcing. The administration is so expensive, and that's why GEMS is so expensive, more than even the private medical aid schemes. So we still have to address the issue of choice on whether public servants can have a choice to choose any other medical aid scheme outside the closed medical aid scheme. We need to address that, and we are talking about it. Because whilst we are addressing all these inefficiencies that are there, all the mismanagement that is there, and all these exorbitant fees that are there, our members are facing difficulties of, co-payment. Our members are facing difficulties of not being able to be attended to by specialists, to the extent that that which would have been prevented is not prevented. Most of the time, cancer is only diagnosed at a later stage because you keep on taking Panado and Panado after Panado, because James says you can't go and see a specialist. Because they said, we're choosing a specialist for you. These are prevented. Some of them you can be able to deal with those particular diseases before they kill. So there's a number of areas that we will then be able to deal with them as we continue to do that. And there's this other one that Comrade Mnyela is also an elephant in the room that is not coming to an end. It's the government employee housing scheme. That we have since 2007. I was still young at the time, I think. But I still look good. I was told during the day that I have got gray hair, and I said, it's not because I'm old. I think it's because I don't eat meat. So James is another problem. Every collective agreement we say is an outstanding matter. So we have decided to have a task team that is working on it quickly, and we are still having to interrogate some of the issues that have caused this particular delay. Because again, we signed and handed it over, and there were so many hands in the cookie jar. So many hands. You meet this one, tells you how Bayport or whatever is going to do good for you and so forth. And as the workers, we have said, this is the standard that we have set. This is what we want. We want to disrupt this thing of a 20-year mortgage bond. We want to disrupt these 20%, 25% of interest because we want to use our own money. We took a team to go and learn from other provident fund and pension fund, and we came back and met the GPF and said, here is what we have learned. That other provident fund and pension fund are able to buy land and build for the members of that particular fund, either whether it's rental or it's direct purchase. And then we said we can learn from that. So what the task team now is going to be addressing is on whether James must remain in the government and the government take it again out into SA home loans. I'm so disappointed because we're supposed to have purchased South African home loans and own it as the GPF, but there's a delay because it's one of the schemes that could have helped us to be able to move forward. So the task team would have to address whether we need a special purpose vehicle that we can use. And that vehicle that we can use must be able to access the money from the GPF or from the PIC. Legally speaking, it is that yes, it's possible. If you have got a special purpose vehicle, you can be able to deal with that. But you've got to address the issues of corporate governance in there. Are you going to abandon it and then say, again, please vote for people to be in, or you're going to have direct representation? And our argument as an organization is simple, is that we need direct representation. We need to sit in the PCBC and say how many directors are going to be there that must run this particular government employee housing scheme, and then the employer must also bring their part, and then the funder, being the GPF, must also bring part of that so that they are sure that the money that they're giving us is going to be given to the workers. We believe that we can find a solution. We've done the studies, and we believe that if we present those particular studies, we can be able to find this solution that can really take this particular scheme forward. Otherwise, if we are going to rely on the DBSA to deal with this particular matter, it is going to keep on delaying and become that list of outstanding issues. So let me move into what was prepared for us. Comrade Nolita, we prepared notes. So we want to thank you, comrades, for inviting us as national office bearers to come here. And we recognize you, comrades, as revolutionaries of the chalk and the workplace. And we bring greetings from the 286,000 members of SADTU. We are growing, but we are not going to crow. We are not going to be, as we celebrate our growth, we will not be complacent. We are the largest union, as it was indicated, in the public service, and we want to continue to grow with responsibility. Not only grow quantitatively, but qualitatively with responsibilities, understanding the power we have, how to use that particular power for our country, for the continent, for the world. Because we are very strategic as teachers. We are nation builders. We are the architect of the future. You attack a teacher, we have indicated you are attacking the future. Because we are the teachers. So we are proud of what the work that you are doing, comrades. And we want to encourage you to continue to be recruiting. But therefore I will be selfish if I don't recognize Comrade Malombo. Comrade Dolob and I know why. We receive a lot of forms from you every day, almost on a daily basis. We thank you very much for that. Sometimes I receive this thing before I sleep and I have got to make sure that they are sent where they are supposed to be sent. And we want to appreciate that. Let's work together, all of us. Comrades, we meet under the condition of systemic and historical structural inequality, now sharpened by austerity budgets in our country that have tightened public services. So this is not a ceremonial gathering as far as we are concerned. It is a battle council of educators and education workers in this province. You are therefore called upon to unite, to be disciplined, and to organize for clean governance and militant service to our members. Why are we here? The SACP correctly characterized education. And I'm not going to go there because I am mindful of the time that our provincial secretary must present an accountability statement in the form of the provincial secretary's report. But we're doing this because education is a class question. Because we believe that the struggle for education is inseparable from the struggle for social justice. So we believe that our task is to advance an inclusive and equitable quality education and to promote lifelong learning opportunities for our children. Yet we know that in a class society, education becomes contested terrain, shaped by ideology, budgets, labor, and power. That's why ours is a struggle for professional unionism with revolutionary purpose, to transform society through education. We have already set our strategic line, and our line is what we agreed upon in our 10th Congress, that mobilizing the consciousness of revolutionary professionals and strengthening foundational and functional learning and advancing inclusive and sustainable economic growth in pursuance of a socialist society. Comrades, this is not poetry. It is a program. It means we organize the educator as a worker, sharpen political education and class consciousness, that will defend the public character of education and the advancement of our national democratic revolution as the shortest route to the socialist society we have committed ourselves to pursue. What are our battlefronts on the ground today? So we must speak plainly about the lived conditions of our members and our learners in our schools. In too many places, classrooms are no longer classrooms. They are mini mass meetings. Overcrowded, under-resourced, exhausting the educator and suffocating the learner. Infrastructure backlog remain a daily humiliation. In Gauteng, our battlefronts are practical and very urgent. First, norms and standards are not being paid on time, so schools are forced into improvisation and principals turned into administrators of scarcity. Infrastructure is in a crisis. Unsafe buildings, incomplete projects. When you walk around in Gauteng, you see that the school was supposed to be built, they've taken off the roof, the school is not complete. So all these incomplete projects in our province, broken sanitation and collapsing dignity. Our chairperson has indicated very clearly, our teachers are not safe in our schools. Just in the East End, we have lost more than 10 teachers in the last few years. In Tembisa, as part of Ekurhuleni, in Benoni, or in Benoni, of course, in Springs and so forth. In Soweto, in the West End, we are not safe. So violence and social decay, comrades, is entering the schoolyard and threatening the teachers and our learners. I will not be long. Post-provisioning norms are rising and causing rising workload, delayed appointments in the province, instability and burnout across the system. And of course, there's a corrosive narrative in our organization, in our system, so-called selling of posts. Which, where it exists, comrades, it destroys ethics. And where it is weaponized, becomes a propaganda to delegitimize the educators, our union, and the NDR. And sometimes comrades feel angry when we talk about this thing. We are very clear. There is no progressive teacher, revolutionary comrade, cadre that would sell a post to a person who is suffering. You cannot. You don't qualify to be a cadre. You don't qualify to call yourself a revolutionary person. You also don't qualify to be a comrade. If you are a principal working together with the SGB and selling posts, you are not a member of our organization. Exploitation is about capitalism and nothing else. A revolutionary cannot exploit another person. A revolutionary does not work against the people, because what is a revolution if the revolution is not the people? The revolution is the people. Our members is the revolution. And you then exploit them. You exploit the foreign teachers, making them to pay monthly, what do you call it, protection fee. That thing happens in gangsterism. It doesn't happen in a professional sector like education. I hope Nyangizwa. Comrade, hate us if you want to hate us. Hate us if you want to hate us, but we are not going to keep quiet as the leadership if we see that you are doing what capitalism is doing. How different are you from Trump, who go and steal in Venezuela? How different are you? Oh, you are different because you can speak our language. You are different because you are wearing a nice logo of SADTU. Makaband, this organization is growing, but this organization can easily be collapsed. Oh, the president says...
I'm sorry to interject. Nominations are closed. It's 5:20. Thank you very much.
I thought the president is going to say he has been assessing me. So, comrades, we represent educators, office-based, support staff, we represent ECD, we represent TVET, we represent CETs. And as I have indicated, our student chapter is here. They will speak. So, our members that you are exploiting as a principal or as an SGB, Comrade Matagai, our members are working under most trying circumstances. They rely on a living, visible, campaigning, policy influencing, and mobilizing SADTU. Not only for a brighter future, not only for a brighter tomorrow, but for a brighter today. We dare not fail them. Let's deal with our history a little bit. I'm cutting all the things that they have written for me, Comrade Dolofi. You know me, I no longer want to belong. So, Comrade Mandla, Comrade Miel, our union is born of unity and struggle. That's your union. Born before 1990, 1989, when we have signed the Harare Declaration. We said at the time We're not going to mobilize and organize the teachers on the basis of their ideology or on the basis of their political affiliation. We are going to listen to what Marx has said. Unite the workers of the world. You have nothing to lose but the chains in your feet. And you have the world to gain. So we are going to organize them. We had a debate in 1993 about whether we must join COSATU or not. But the joining of COSATU prevailed after a lengthy discussion. We had a Congress that could not resolve that particular issue. We then had to say, leadership members, go back. Go and discuss this matter, and our National General Council will deliberate on it and finalize on it. Why? Because we didn't want to get out of that Congress divided. We wanted to be united because it was a political question. Something we failed in the 14th Congress of COSATU. I don't know whether it's 14th Congress or you must remind me. We failed when we said, let's go and discuss this matter and not vote on it. And we found ourselves where you are saying we are there, weakened because we are divided. Maybe we have learned lessons. Moving forward, we would not do that. I remember very well that the debate was around whether we want to be raw unionists, and I'm using that word because it's what the other people were calling it, or just professionals. And we said, no, we can walk on both legs, the professional leg and the union leg. And that's how we built this strong organization today, to be where it is. Out of 18 unions that amalgamated to form this particular organization. And our founders called that day the day of victory. Because they built a united and a non-racial and a non-sexist and a progressive union in a sector that the oppressor once designed to reproduce obedience. So, comrades, we stand on the shoulders of those who resisted the architecture of oppression in education and who fought for liberation and human dignity. That's why SADTU is a jewel. Not because we flatter ourselves, but because we working people built an instruments of struggle and entrusted to us. We need to thank them as the leadership. We lost our founding president, Mdlalana, I think it was last year, and we lost our founding general secretary. These two were great leaders, together with the rest of them. But one thing I respect about them, they never interfered in our processes, in our union. They never went about and say, hey, you know what, this one must go, this one must not go. They were very principled throughout their leadership. And I think we need to honor them. We still have those who are living, Tulas, Harold, I think Bibi Mabandla. Those leaders are still alive today. In your case, you have Comrade Dudu, who retired. She's still alive. We still owe her a lot for her leadership. So, those of us who want to destroy this organization, remember where it comes from. Remember that they entrusted this organization to us to make sure that we nurture it, we build it, we strengthen it, and sharpen it, not to destroy it. So when I read the Facebook and I see how much hatred is channeled into SADTU by SADTU members, it scares me. When I see TikTok, a person sleeping in bed and say, this corrupt SADTU, and says, I'm a member of SADTU, I am really afraid. I'm really afraid. What type of a member is that one? Who doesn't appreciate this jewel that is in our hands, these instruments of liberation, this shield for our teachers that has been entrusted to us? Why are you not respecting it and ensure that you are able to also leave it intact when you leave? There's one thing, Comrade Ledim, I like very much. I love the youth. I believe the decolonization of education can only happen because the youth stand up and do it. But there's something else I don't understand by the youth. It is our time now. Nchoba, I don't understand it because I was also youth. When I was called upon to lead, I was also youth. I was not nominated because I'm a youth. I was nominated because the people saw that this is an instrument we can use for our members. So we love our youth, want to develop them, but there's something that we still have got to do to ensure that we're not saying what I normally hear when I walk around in Kenya, it's our time to eat. Because, comrades, leadership is earned. It's not decreed. Comrade Dolop, it's not decreed. You're not going to be elected just because you are youth. You're not going to be elected because you are lighter in complexion than Ledim. I don't want to talk about Shkumban. You earn the respect of people. They come here into this Congress and they elect you because you have earned their respect. It is not decreed. History, comrades, is full of great organizations that collapsed. Not because the people stopped believing in freedom, but because the leaders stopped believing in people. So when I give you a form, Comrade Ledim, and say join, and you join, next week you will insult the same organization and say, this organization is wrong. There's something wrong with you, not the organization. You came to me, you collected a form, you filled the form, I took the form, I then capture you. After 3 weeks, now that you are a member in good standing, you then say, this organization is wrong. We must remove everybody. The very same person who gave you a form, you say, no, that, you found the organization being built, help us to improve it. We are going to elect you. When your time has come, nobody can block it. Hayi ngisho ukuthi Boloshi noma ungaya lapho kwaSosobala. Makuyixesha loba uyaelect uzawuelect. It's not going to happen. So when we stop believing in our members, we do things that are not right. We call this sickness de-ideologization. We call it chauvinism. We call it soundbite revolutionaries. TikTok. Mouse record uhleli lapha. Ngiyambona lo mandevu. Thethi Swati. Swati lakithi ngiyambona uyayithukisa isathu. Ayithuki isathu ngesiswati sakithi. Athi lesathu yenza ntonto ithini? Hayi, my comrades. That is soundbout revolutionaries. We don't want them. We call this sickness factionalism. We call it greed. We call it arrogance. We call it corruption. We call it dishonesty. These sins, they eat organization from within. That's why we must repeat until it becomes discipline in our marrow, bone marrow, that leadership in the education sector is earned and not decreed. Not earned by intimidation, not earned by slates, not earned by gossip and whisper campaigns, not earned by money, not earned by it is our time now. It is earned through service, sacrifice, ideological clarity, organizational discipline, and loyalty to our members, not loyalty to the leader. And you can't be a member of another member. You are a member of SADTU. So let this conference, comrade, take a vow that we will never vandalize this union for narrow personal agendas, that we will never allow SADTU to be captured by careerism, that we will never elevate mediocrity into meritocracy, that we will never become praise singers of dishonest leadership. Because the revolution is not a ladder. The revolution is about the people, and the people are the revolution. And in our own languages, SADTU, we are saying our struggle is about our members, and our members are the revolution. I said I'm going to be brief. I'm brief. The speech was long. I told her, hey, this thing is very long. So, okay. When you talk factionalism, you remember Comrade Oliver Tambo. So I want to remind you. Some of you are new, they are young, you need to be reminded. Uti Comrade Oliver Tambo, when he closed the Morogoro conference in 1969, we call on our members to wage a relentless war against disruptors and defend the ANC and the alliance, I want to emphasize. Against provocateurs and enemy agents. He said, defend the revolution against enemy propaganda. Whatever form it takes, be vigilant, comrades. The enemy is vigilant. Because of the wage driver, be aware of the wage driver. The man who creeps from ear to ear, carrying a bag full of wedges, driving them in between you and the next man, between a group and another, a man who goes around creating splits and divisions. Beware of the wedge driver. Comrades, watch his poisonous tongue. I said our message is unity, build, clean governance. So let's talk about organizational integrity in very brief, where we talk about democracy, discipline, and clean governance. When we prepared for these conferences, the National Executive Committee reinforced our constitution through what we call election conference protocols, which we have annexed to our code of conduct today. Because, comrades, we realize that there are tendencies that have emerged that do not belong in a revolutionary union, that we do not fear democracy. Some people are saying, when we strengthen our organization, when we want to sharpen this organization to be the true tool and instrument of liberation, they say, no, they fear us. I see in the Facebook that some comrade was addressing, and they say, hey, VP, we can see that you are addressing us, but there at National Office by Tatazel. I do not know what were Tatazel in Comrade Tolop and my president, but by Tatazel. No, comrade, no, make no mistake. We do not fear democracy. We fear organizational decay. We do not fear contestation. When contestation is clean, when you are not defaming, when you are not assassinating characters, we don't fear it. Contestation is democracy. Contestation is the best thing of building organization. So you can contest, but do it as a principled comrade. What we fear is the corruption of those particular processes. We do not fear the debate, but we fear manipulation and purchase of conscience. When you purchase a person's conscience, angasabi umuntu abe object, uyamuse nje. Otto Franz Fanon, that is cognitive dissonance. Because mase uyi-robot, awusa-understand, awusabuni, awusezwa. Makuthiwa nayi ingulube, uthi nayi iship. Kuthiwa hayi, nayi le ngulube. Kuthiwa hayi nayi imbuzi. Awusezwa. You don't know because you are suffering from cognitive dissonance. We talk to you, you go and do the same thing. So we are on Franz Banon, no, you need to address that. And that's about class consciousness. Because we believe in democracy. We are saying a union without democracy becomes brittle. A union without discipline becomes a crowd. But a union with both becomes a weapon. This is what unity building looks like, comrade. We have a principled debate, clean procedures, transparent outcome, and collective commitment to implement our resolutions. That's what our organization is all about. So what is Amilcar Cabral saying around this thing? So he says, hide nothing from the masses of our people, expose lies whenever they are told, mask no difficulties, mistakes, failures, claim no easy victory. So comrades, we believe that is our standard. Truth with our members and hard work without shortcuts. We believe that we have got to ensure that our members are serviced in terms of pillar number 1 and pillar number 2 and all the other pillars, because that's how we can defend our gains, that's how we can defend our members. And we are saying, comrades, speeches must become programs. Our members judge us not by our slogans, but by concrete gains, daily protection, and the strength of workplace organization. That's why we foreground trade unionism, political education, and class consciousness everywhere, and consistently so. Hence, I have started with GEMS and GES and so forth, and I know the secretaries are going to deal with those particular issues. Because on educator injury compensation, comrade, there's a gap, and the NEC have resolved that we need to amend COIDA to ensure that the teachers are also covered for injuries on duty, including their properties. Because they must be treated like workers, because they must be protected. I'm trying to skip. On our school fair, we launched it the first time, Comrade Tulani, in your region, Moses Singh. So we have always said that the classroom is a reflection of our society. So we have said when our communities are abandoned, school become pressure points. And I think we need to take that seriously. Because when unemployment rises, violence rises. When substance abuse and gangsterism spread, school feel it first. That's why, comrades, we need to support I'm a school fan. This is our campaign. This is our movement. This is how we are responding, so that we build societal solidarity against violence and insist that schools must be zones of safety and dignity for our educators, support personnel, and our learners. We must fight to protect teachers from harassment, violence, abuse, threats, exploitation, and oppression. In every incident, we see not only a statistic, but a political indictment on social decay and a call for organized response. Comrade Mandla has already spoken about public education. We have a campaign, and I don't want to waste your time. We marched on the 23rd of April last year, if I'm not wrong. I want to thank you, all of you. You made us very proud. We marched against Huarube and the austerity measures. But comrades, reality is, those austerity measures are destroying education. If we don't stand up and fight against austerity measures, the education is going to be commodified. The education is going to be sold. And I must be honest, we have a minister who runs the department through media. News 24 and this other one, what do you call it? Loma Veric. So now she's bringing a campaign. Every time is that you need to see those who are members of our alliance, members of as corrupt people. And I'm saying to the organization in Solplaki, why are you quiet? I have written to the site and I say our members are struggling. Our members are suffering. They don't know what to do anymore. Posts are advertised, posts are not filled because the minister wants her own people. Now the president has signed a law that says ministers and MECs, you are no longer supposed to interfere in administration. We are not going to say a regulation. They want to make sure they frustrate it, like she frustrated Bella. Up to today, we don't have regulations. Why? Because AfriForum, Solidarity are all emboldened, comrades. They are all emboldened. They believe now we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. The ANC is going. We are taking over. So why rush and have this particular regulations? Because we are coming in soon. So I'm saying to the union there in Solplaki, I'm saying, why are you quiet? Why are those members suffering in front of you on a daily basis? Why are you not saying anything? So that's why we need to defend the character of education, the public character of our education. Because, comrades, we can talk and talk. As long as there's no money in education, we are not going to be able to achieve what we want to achieve. Our rights are going to be dealt with, and therefore we will not be able to deal with because we will not be able to be united around those particular issues. So I don't want to take up your time because I believe that this campaign needs to be driven at the level of the classroom. We need to wage a struggle for the implementation of BELA. We need to talk about mathematics and mathematical literacy in our commission to address those particular issues. I'm not going to be emphasizing on those particular things. But I'm also saying it's time that we interrogate the three-stream model. Let's go and talk about it, comrades. The three-stream model is to address the issue of skills, competencies for our children. But if you are going to ask a school in Linasia or a school in Pimville and say, implement three-stream model, but you don't give them the money and say, pilot it, what are you going to do? What are you saying to this particular principal and the community? Go and steal money to implement it. It's going to fail, and when it fails, we're going to be sitting with unemployment that is rising. And we need to deal with that. Comrade Mandla has spoken about knowledge production and the unit in diversity. I'm not going to talk a lot about this. Just to say to you, my request, comrades, is that we have what we call SADTU Journal, or a journal of SADTU. Can comrades in master's level write articles for us? Let's make sure that we produce knowledge. Let's produce theory. Let's produce analysis and be able to publish those things. We didn't build that particular journal for other people only. We have built it for you because you are nation builders, because you are the creators of knowledge. So you can't be absent around those particular issues. So I want to challenge you. Let's take that advantage. Masters and those that are on doctoral studies, I know many of you are doing that. And many of the teachers have already attained masters.
Challenge accepted.
Who is graduating this week? I think, it's the deputy president. You graduated, so don't be jealous, Comrade Dolop. I don't know, Fasiha, my sister, when are you completing? So I'm inviting you, there's a book there that is being sold, not that because I want the book to be bought, but I want the comrades who are new to understand the history of our organization, the contribution that have been made by the African National Congress, COSATU, and the SACP in building this particular organization. I want you to understand the day when Comrade Thabo Mbeki and Zuma were seated meeting our delegation in Harare to discuss the formation of this particular organization. I need you to understand that we are a product of our struggle. We're not just a simple organization. So as knowledge creators, I challenge you, all of you, comrades. Comrade Mandla has dealt with the NDR. So my emphasis is simple, is that, comrade, when we are going to discuss this issue, that we are going to discuss at the level of the Special Congress, informed by our own resolutions after resolution, that the day the SACP takes a decision to contest the elections, and not through the alliance, but, as they say, wall to wall, we will be disciplined. We will go to our Special Congress and allow our members to debate, and our members will then inform us what to do. We have done a survey, and the secretary is going to present, I want to believe. We have a discussion document that we have shared. And in that survey, there were areas where our members that we have surveyed were saying to us, we want a status quo. And secondly, there were those that we want a status quo, but with reconfiguration. And there were those who are saying, no, get out now of this alliance. And there were those who were saying, be a social movement, drive the NDR on your own, so that you unite the country and make sure that we achieve that which we wanted to achieve in this particular program of the NDR. Then we said, we'll hand it over to yourself. With your wisdom, you'll then be able to guide the Congress that is coming in August. Our emphasis as the national leadership is simple, very simple. We must unite for our NDR. We are calling for the unity of the SACP, COSATU, and the ANC. We see the conference of the left. We are waiting for our Central Executive Committee to guide us, to say, what do we do? Because we see we are invited together with EFF, SOPA, AZAPO, and everyone. We are saying we will not be prostitutes as SADTU. We will not accept an invitation from the Communist Party when we are having our own federation that must either accept or not accept. We must be guided by the party, by our COSATU. So we have said we'll wait for the Central Committee to pronounce and decide on whether we go to this particular conference, because we have a resolution. We have our Congress resolution as COSATU that says we must convene this particular conference of the left. So it's not like it's new, it's not like it's taboo to talk about that particular thing. So we are only saying we would want that the parties, ANC, SACP, COSATU, respect each other as independent, autonomous organization. So that we are saying, yes, the party can meet with us, but meet with our mother first as the federation. And we must hear from them, because you don't want to be divided. We don't want to find ourselves saying this, some who said something else. We want to be organized and be united. So we are saying there's no difference when it comes to the NDR. No, we are not confused. We are clear. The NDR is our program. It's the shortest route to socialism. We believe in it. We are committed to it. We are going to fund it because we believe we've got to do that. However, we must be able to say we don't want to be divided. We are clear. Let's deal with our differences and not divide ourselves. I don't want to talk a lot about the economy. I want to conclude, but raising in relation to this, the world now. I want to thank Gauteng, I want to thank the entire union for allowing us to really practice solidarity. That our solidarity is just not hollow. Our solidarity is pattern. It's a method. That the work that we are doing in Gaza, you must recognize it and give yourself a round of applause. We're not talking. We are making sure that the teachers there are trained. We are providing psychosocial services for the teachers in Gaza, for the teachers in the West Bank. We are doing that together with the other unions. And we are going to expand that now and deal with Lebanon. The schools in Lebanon are attacked. The children in Lebanon are being killed. We want to do it working together with the international trade union movement. So ours, comrades, is systemic, it's programmatic, it's real. When we talk about Cuba, we're not only making slogans. We are making sure that every 3 months there is work that we do to contribute medical supplies. We're contributing food as this organization to Cuba. We talk to our partners. We're not afraid of going to Comrade Malombo and say, Comrade Malombo, we want 80,000 because we need to buy rice. And this rice must find itself there. Because we believe if we don't stand together, our solidarity is going to be slogan. So we are going to fight this neoliberal, this authoritarianism, this militarism. We're going to fight. But here's the picture, that whilst we are dividing ourselves, whilst we are fighting with the factionalism amongst ourselves, what is the world doing? Inequality is growing, and so harshly. In South Africa, the Gini coefficient is 63, or if you want, 0.63, which means it's so huge, inequalities. But here's the catch, and I've drawn some diagrams that I can share. So the inequality is growing and is unsustainable in the world. The billionaires are now, in 2026, 3,000. And these 3,000 billionaires, they own 18 trillion US dollars. Comrade Mie, that is equivalent to the GDP of China. That's how serious this thing is. But look at the rules of the WTO. Look at the rules of the World Bank. What is happening with this? As accumulation in the global north continues, what happens here? There's extraction. There's poverty here. There is violence and unstable economies. So we are saying, this inequality, understand it, so that we unite ourselves around the NDR and stop fighting. Because your solidarity, your AfriForum are clear that they want to reverse all our gains. And because they own the wealth that is in their hands. And that's what's going to happen. So at the bottom of everything, it is that in the middle of this inequality gap, which is the oligarchies who have accumulated, and 12 billionaires can pay all of us here in the world, 8 billion people, 250 US dollars, and each of them will still remain with 500 billion US dollars. That's how filthy rich they are. Tina, la, sihlalele kwenzani, we suffocate, we're strangling each other, trampling over each other's coins, as if we don't know what is happening. When the accumulation goes up, who gets the money is the North, is global North. What then happens? It is that it weakens the political space. Because these billionaires now, what do? They buy politics. They buy legislatures. They buy elections. They form political parties in our own country. Almost 900 people or parties are going to contest the government, the local government election. Where have you ever seen that? Where have you ever seen that? If they don't buy politics, what do they buy? And we see it with this thing of saying textbook 1 billion, corrupt tender. Comrades, let me clearly explain to you quickly. National does not have a tender. They approve materials based on what these particular publishers have given them. So they call for catalog to say, we call for a material in grade 10, submit, and these are submitted. So we are now concentrating on one, what do you call this company, I don't know. But do you know the winner? It's Oxford Press Publishers. Where is Oxford? Who is talking about it? Oxford is in London, but it's the biggest winner of this material because it is developing materials every day. It has the resources to do that. So the catalog is going to be informed more by also Oxford. So did News 24 talk about Oxford? They talk about this one that we don't know, which I don't know myself. And I don't want to know it. They don't talk about Via Africa, owned by Naspers. They don't talk about it. You know what they're doing? It's manufacturing public consent. That everybody who is associated with the African National Congress in that department is corrupt. And remember, they are creating doubt. And once they create the doubt, because they are using resources, you will also doubt yourself. I can tell you, Comrade VP, you will also doubt whether you are called no later. Because you think if you call yourself no later next to Comrade Dolobu, who is said to be corrupt, you are also corrupt. You will be afraid of greeting Mweli because they say Mweli is corrupt. Because the narrative is reinforced and reinforced that you doubt yourself. And that's what is happening. So, this accumulation buys media. And they buy the narrative. And what do? They weaken NGOs that are progressive. They weaken the unions that are supposed to be fighting. Why? Because they have got to extract the wealth in Africa. So you are going to see the wealth extracted. And let me remind you what Marco Rubio has said in Germany. He said, we have been sleeping as the global north. This is the time. If a country refuses to give us the minerals, we go and take it by force. They have now taken US aid, HIV/AIDS. They come back and say, we give you the money, but when we give you the money, give us our mineral, give the mineral. You don't give the mineral, let your people die. That is colonialism. And they are saying, we made a mistake of not making sure that we colonize these people for life. And that mistake, Marco Rubio says, we must correct it now. We must go where the resources are and make sure that if they don't give us the resources, a regime change. If not a regime change, what do? We just take the president out, like they did with Venezuela. Like they are wanting to do with Cuba. We must stand united, comrades. We must stand united and fight and resist, because resistance is a duty. If you forget that duty, I can tell you, they will come here and say, Ramaphosa, pooh, we'll see him flying there. And we'll say, anyway, it belongs to the ANC, it was corrupt. Justifying what they're saying because of the narrative, because they've created it, because they've manufactured it, and it is now ripe that you doubt yourself. You are a teacher. Teachers must believe in science. They must believe in figures. They must believe in facts. Because to fight racism, to fight authoritarianism, to fight imperialists, you need facts. You need evidence. You need to put it in front of them and say, this is not going to happen. So, Comrade Miel, we have heard you. The sleeping economy must be woken up. And to wake up that particular economy, it is that we here must provide quality public education that liberates, that create critical thinkers. Because authoritarianists, they fear critical thinkers. Because critical thinkers are going to challenge them. And they fear that. Hence, what they're doing now, they attack the curriculum. What are they doing now? Attack the union. What are they doing now? They say to our government, change the Labor Relations Act. They buy it because they have the money to say, change the Labor Relations Act, change the EEE, make it sure that Kharubu can hire and fire. Hatsamaye, yo, hatsamaye. 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 Constructive conference. National office, love you. All the best. We love our leadership. Respect them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, comrades. Utlatsamaya. How choluna utlatsamaya. How choluna utlatsamaya. But now let's take the electoral office and get through the process of the elections. Comrade President. Sorry.
Amandla, maybe you must just sing one revolutionary song to make sure that everybody's here. Thank you. We are now on 15.1.1.2, which is validation of nominations, which is 15.1.2.2, nomination screening and validation. Letter D or letter C says, the electoral officer, upon presentation of the nomination audit report, shall proceed to give an opportunity to those validly nominated who otherwise have reconsidered their nominations to withdraw, and the conference to open nominations if the 50-50 gender policy has not been complied with. We issued out 63 nomination forms. They were returned. Only one of those nomination forms was not utilized to the latter. The nominees, all of them have signed acceptance, and the branches did what they were supposed to do. And we have 7 spoiled papers or 7 spoiled nominations because the nominees could not be able to sign and accept. 7, all in all. I don't want to say for the chair so many, for the sport so many, for education so many, for the treasurer so many. 2 for the chair, 1 for sport, 3 for education, 1 for treasurer. 7. And in terms of male, female, it's a 50-50 balance. I'm not announcing the results or declaring the results. I'm just doing what is required of an electoral officer in terms of nomination screening and validation. Declaration of results will be done on the last day when the leadership collective here would be dissolved, go back to where they got their power from, which is their branches. Those who are lucky to come back will do so through their branches. Obviously, you are aware that there are 8 positions that were supposed to be contested for. For the position of the chairperson, just a minute, I wrote it down. I like your patience. You have been patient through and through, and very cooperative through and through. Even when we requested you to try and avoid the traffic that was here, you did so without any complaint. Hence, I'm saying heads off, and I've taken it off. You can see that. You are very cooperative. And that's what we like about you. For the position of the chairperson, there is only one name. And that name answers to Eddie Kekana, who is a male. The electoral officer, upon presentation of the nomination audit report, shall proceed to give an opportunity to those validly nominated who otherwise have reconsidered their nominations to withdraw, and the conference to open nominations if the 50-50 gender policy has not been complied with. Are we going to have a mic, or are the mics at the tables working?
Test.
Just check.
They are working.
Okay. Let's check with Comrade Eddie Kekana as being nominated to be the chairperson of this province again, whether he's still available to serve our members. Comrade Eddie, are you available?
Still available, President.
Thank you. For the position of Deputy Chairperson, Patrick Shikumbana, also male. Are you available, Comrade Pat?
Thanks, President. Yes, indeed, we are still available. Thanks.
Thank you very much. We will proceed to the Provincial Secretary, Comrade Siliso Lidimu. Are you available, bro?
Thank you, Mohammed. I'm available. Thank you.
Thank you. For the position of Deputy Secretary, we have only one name, female, answering to Musedi Matekane. Are you available, Comrade Musedi?
Thank you, President. Yes, I'm still available.
For the position of the Treasurer of the province, we have only one name, answering to Mutsamai Mabuya. Are you available, Comrade Mutsamai?
Thanks, President. I'm available.
Thank you. For the position of Education Convener, we have only one name, answering to Louisa Makeza. Are you available, Comrade?
Yes, President, I'm available. Thank you.
For the position of Gender Convener, we have only one name, answering to Confidence Masero. Are you available, Comrade?
Thank you, President. Yes, I am available.
And then for the position of Sports, Arts and Culture Convener, we have only one name, answering to Boniswa Kolani. Are you available, Comrade?
Thank you, my President. I'm available.
So you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the conference. Nomination screening and validation has been done. Declaration of the results will be done on the last day. Thank you very much. All of the best.
Comrades, Unite lifikile akamagauteni ixesha comrades nikhula kamnandi siyabonga riyalebuwa rolebuwa akhensa siyabulela comrades enkosi selihambile ixesha amahotela Thank you very much, comrades. Thank you. Siyabonga, riyalebuha. Rolebuha. Akhensa. Siyabulela, maqabane. Comrades. Thank you, comrades. Comrades, that unity must be accompanied by a program. Let's now focus on the process of developing a program. Can we therefore, comrades, I've already indicated we are going to be flexible in terms of, I know that now we are supposed to take the Secretariat report. However, I want to invite the student chapter to come and give the message of support, so that by the time the Secretariat report is rendered here, there is no disturbance, and we don't have to hold other people to ransom. Comrades, allow me to invite on the podium our own student chapter. I'm not so sure who's actually deployed to come and speak here, but probably is the national leader of the student chapter to come to the podium and give SADTU the message of support. Comrade, is it Nomfundo? Comrade Nomfundo is.
Amandla, how are you too? Thank you very much, comrades. My name is Nomfundo Dube, the Deputy National Convener of the Student Chapter. and a member in good standing for the past 9 years of the South African Democratic Teachers Union. Comrades, when I was driving to a conference, it took me about 2 hours for me to reach a conference. I listened to a very progressive song. Of course, I'm here to deliver a message of support, and I'll keep it very short. But I was listening to a very progressive song, and a song that everybody knows of. But I think I had to play it about 5 times for me to understand what it was saying, because in academics we're told that for you to master something, you need to have learned it at least for a period of 10 years, a whole decade, to be called a master in something. The song is called Yini Socialism, to which the response then becomes Umhlaba wonke ezandleni zabantu. I'm saying I had to listen to that song, which is about 5 minutes, 43 seconds, for about 6 to 7 times. And the reason I had to do that is because my understanding of the song, of course, is socialism, as the definition in the song comes, it's umhlaba wonke ezandleni zabantu, but the song itself implies that socialism is the end point. And I started questioning the relevance of the song, because we will know that socialism is not the end point, it's a transitionary phase between capitalism and communism, or a communist state. And we are told in socialism that there are principles that are founding it. And the biggest principle that foregrounds socialism is the notation that its distribution is based on contribution. And with the communism, it says distribution is based on a need. Why am I speaking to this particular framework? The SADTU student chapter has decided to take on SACE head on, because we have found that SACE has decided to subject our unemployed educators to levies that are unjustified, and levies that deepen the class contradiction. When you subject an unemployed educator to paying for a levy that they do not qualify to pay, you are subjecting a very progressive sector to being marginalized and to intensify the inequalities that we have been fighting post-democracy. You cannot separate SACE from politics, even though SACEs are political. Now, when SACE was developed, it was in September, I think in 1995, a year and couple of months after our 1994 democratic elections. And the understanding is that SACE is a progressive organization that was put in place or developed to redress the imbalances that were caused by the apartheid regime. So it goes beyond understanding and logic when SACE reinforces what we call gatekeeping of the haves. It can never be, because SACE is an organization that is there not only to safeguard the interests of learners, but also the interests of educators. So SADTU student chapter is appealing to a conference to say, let us intensify the fight that we have taken against the SACE. Let us intensify and not go back. We're saying one betrayal is equal to one bullet, but I don't want to be quoted out of context, because I won't survive in prison. And I know that when you say such things, the Human Rights Commission will call you and say you are inciting violence. It's an extended metaphor. I'm saying one betrayal is equal to one bullet. The bullet is not necessarily the metal, no. It's us ensuring that the struggle that we have decided to take against SACE does not become an empty rhetoric that will be hijacked by opportunists, because we have seen and we have been monitoring on every social media platform that there are members of parliament who have decided to take the fight that the student chapter of SADTU has taken upon themselves and revert it to something that is for opportunistic reasons. So we're appealing to conference, we're appealing to SADTU to assist us to ensure that SACE does not take for granted our unemployed teachers. But I think another thing that I should address is that when conference was calling or acknowledging the student chapter, we were outside for about 3 hours, 16 minutes. And I think it's necessary for us to address this. It's not because we're boycotting a conference. We're very disciplined members of SADTU. We're members of SADTU. We were reduced to children who were fighting for paraphernalia. And what then that does is to speak to political competency and organizational indiscipline. It can never be that as the student chapter of SADTU, we need to fight for our place and our relevance in conferences. This is not the first time it has happened in the National General Council, and we condemned it at the highest level. We're condemning it again right here in Gauteng. We'll never allow to be subjected to be secondary citizens of the union. Because the premise of a legitimate union or the premise of a legitimate structure is such so that it allows for equal participation of all its members and its leadership structures. The student chapter is not a substructure of SADTU. It is an integral part of the union. Moving forward, comrades, we appeal that e-conference engages in robust discussions. We appeal that e-conference comes out united. We've been noting some of the songs that have been sung here, and we're not sure if it's because it's out of excitement or if there's underlying challenges in the province. But we hope that the conference comes out united. Amandla, awethu.
Thank you very much, student chapter, Comrade Nomfundo. Let us apologize for that mishap. I think it was just a logistical misunderstanding around a particular area, and it will be corrected and it won't repeat itself. We would not love to subject you to that kind of treatment. We have actually supported your existence, and we are always going to support the student chapter because we understand its importance in the organization. Hope you sleep well, Comrade Nomfundo. We will, and the other comrades, Sizolungisa. It was not intended to. Comrades, the time has come for us to receive the report of the organization, the account for this period under review, which is going to be rendered by the Provincial Secretariat. I would request just a short revolutionary song to raise the Secretariat. I've given them up until 8 o'clock to conclude. If at 8 o'clock they have not concluded, I switch off the mics. They will come tomorrow. So that, comrades, you also can go, have dinner, and also rest. You have driven from various destinations. We need to be considerate of that. There is work to be done, in particular tomorrow. Comrades, can you come with a revolutionary song? Yeah.
Sozela pela
Mandla, awethu, viva SADTU, viva, viva SADTU, viva, viva SACP, viva, viva the African National Congress, viva, viva Sanko, viva, Amandla. Thank you very much, Comrade Chairperson and the delegates, for the opportunity to present the organizational report which seeks to report for the 4-year term of office. We released this report after it was approved by the Provincial Executive Committee in March, and agreed that it must be made available to all the